Your SAT score can go up 100 points if you manage to solve these questions. One thing I want to make clear before talking about these questions is that half the battle of solving a hard SAT question is not getting intimidated by it. Keep that in mind. Data inference questions are one of the most commonly missed SAT questions simply because of students not realizing that this is a topic that is tested on the SAT a good amount, and students just think there's only like 2 or 4 questions on it, so they tend not to give it too much studying. Let's take this question right here, for example. So you see it's talking about what's wrong with this study, right? And we see that the study is taken within a local restaurant, right? And it's trying to represent the entire population of the town. What about those people who don't go to restaurants, or who live on the north side, or east side of town, or west side of town? How can they be properly represented? Where the sample was taken was the wrong place, which is why the answer is location. Location was messed up, which is why the study is wrong. You want to conduct your study so everyone who's being represented can be chosen at an equal chance. And just remembering this concept, as well as mean, median, mode, is enough for you to probably solve 90% of all data analysis and problem solving questions. Remember guys, there's about 17 problem solving data analysis questions on the ST Math section. So it's not 4 or 5, it's 17. Getting minus 17 on the ST Math section is like minus 170 points. So just getting these questions right alone, you're looking at a 200 point boost. So why not start that right now? And the biggest thing is the SAT will start introducing more and more data analysis and problem solving questions simply because SAT is making a push to include more data samples and like data science questions within their SAT because it is like the future. And your understanding of this topic will separate you from a low 600 to a high 700 score. Okay, no matter where you are, honestly, solving this will boost your score 170 to 200 points. So if you're at a 500, you can be at a 700. If you're at 600, you could possibly be at an 800. Slightly harder equivalent expressions is the next most missed question on the ST Math section. And this is, of course, something that students can solve within actually 5 to 10 seconds if they know this exact trick. And that is to plug in 0 or 1 into the given expression and see which answer choice says give you the same value when you plug in that same x value. Let's look at this problem right here. When you plug in 0 to the original equation, what do you get? I want you guys to pause this video and do that. Okay, so you got your value. Now go through A, B, C, and D and plug in 0 as well. Which of these choices gives the exact same output as the given expression? Choice D, right? There you go, that's your answer. That problem, what students will probably tend to do long division for, synthetic division for, and that takes like 30-40 seconds, has now only taken you 5 seconds to do just because you know this x equals 0/1 trick. And it's crazy that you think a lot of students will know this trick, but they don't. And they end up doing long division, or they just end up skipping it and never coming back to it, or spending too much time on it to get it, and now they don't have time for the other questions. Now, I'm not saying don't learn long division. In fact, you should, because you never know, as a last resort, method, you might need to use it. But 9 times out of 10, you don't have to use long division on the ST Math section because there's usually a trick that'll make you solve the question faster. So stop missing these harder equivalent expression questions because they're not really harder. They just had some more division in it. But if you plug in the test value, you'll get your same answer. Imaginary numbers. For some reason, students every single year ignore it completely because there's just barely any imaginary questions on the SAT, which I understand. If you're studying and you're binge studying because you probably started studying last minute, you're most likely going to be focusing on like linear equations, quadratics, the questions that are heavily tested, not imaginary numbers. But guess what? If you learn how to use the conjugate to solve an imaginary number problem, you're going to get that problem right because 9 times out of 10, the imaginary questions on the SAT Math section are based using like the conjugate, and you're testing your knowledge of, hey, do you know what the conjugate is? Do you know how to use it? Do you know a squared minus b squared? Super simple, guys. You learn that, it takes you like probably 15-20 seconds to solve any imaginary question problem with fractions, and it's like a guaranteed right. Like, you're gonna get that problem correct. Look at this problem right here, guys. If you solve it like this, boom, you got the answer. All you gotta do is multiply the bottom by the same numbers but switch the sign, and use that same expression for the top, distribute it, condense it, split it up, a plus bi, done. Another big missed question, this also kind of falls under the data inference and problem solving questions. It's the table questions. Understanding how to isolate what like value in the table is being talked about and what the denominator should be, and finding that final fraction. This is something that students struggle a lot with because a lot of times they get confused about, hey, what's being, what population is being targeted? Is the entire total being targeted? Just like this row being targeted? Just this column being targeted? This messes up a lot of students, but the best way to solve these questions is usually find the denominator and numerator, right? So when you look at this problem, we see that 2 populations are being targeted, right? First, it's like the general body population, and then the mini population within that. So first, let's circle, in the table, the general body population, and now let's circle the mini population. Look at the intersections, right? There's one intersection, and that is your fractional value. So in this case, it will be boom, right there. And the problem right there is solved. Again, super easy, just use a table to your advantage. And last but not least, completing the square. A lot of students do not know how to complete the square. In fact, even when I do tutor students, I see that that's something they struggle with the most. So usually I always go over with them to teach them how to do. But it's super simple, guys. Use it a lot, especially when you're trying to make an equation of a circle, or you're trying to convert a problem or an equation into vertex form. You're gonna have to know how to do the equation in the circle. You're gonna have to know how to do vertex form, how to manipulate the equation, so you get these questions correct. Because this technique will help you solve questions in both the circle field as well as quadratics. And this right here is how you complete the square. So I'll have this guide in the description below. You just gotta follow it, do the test problem, and you see, oh, this is actually really, really easy. And now, boom, you are automatically getting like 3-4 questions more right. So the next time you take the SAT, you are like guaranteed getting more questions right? Especially within that topic. So your score is like guaranteed to improve. So that's what you need to solve these most missed SAT questions, because these are questions that are probably whooping your butt and making your score go down. And if you get these questions done, you're looking at like an 800. Like, yes, you, the one who thinks that you can't get 800, you will get 800. Trust me. And remember, guys, these are easy problems. They might look hard, but with some practice, you'll be able to solve them very, very easily. So let's skyrocket your score ASAP.